Good morning, it's Artzenin. So, I wanted to go ahead and address the elephant in the room that I think will... No, it's totally gonna come up. I know it's gonna come up. So the author of Snapshot, the producer of Zion Studio, the creator of all of the characters that you all are gonna be reading about, I'm just gonna go ahead right now and nip this in the bud. Maxine Sarsfield, Dejah Chamont, and Amber Fierce are not lesbians. However, what they are soulmates that have a platonic bond. And with that being said, if people get through all of the seasons 1 through 4, including season 0, a bonus season, it's inevitable. They're going to pick up on, I feel like something was missing here between Dejah and Maxine, or Dejah and Amber. I'm gonna tell you what that missing sensation is all about. Those were Canon deleted scenes that I took away. I took them away not because I wanted to, not because they were wrong, but because I really don't think the Christians or the LGBT can handle it. I think that the realm that we are in currently right now has conditioned and indoctrinated people to truly believe that a platonic romance between people just cannot work, even though I have so much evidence to prove that it can. Naturally, the girls will want to express their platonic affection. That ranged from holding hands, doing this. That doesn't mean you're homosexual. It doesn't mean you're having sex. Period. It doesn't mean you're having ill intentions because you can hold someone's hand this way or this way. People are indoctrinated to think this. There was kissing, holy kisses, New Testament, Paul. I highlighted it 5 times because I didn't even believe that could be spoken so naturally. He said, greet the brothers and sisters with a holy kiss. And it was said 5 times. Yahweh doesn't have a problem with affection. It's us. It's humanity who keeps wanting to look deeper into something and exploit it. It's humanity that wants to not listen in general. And it's humanity that when a good thing drops down from Shayayin down to this planet, we just butcher it, right? We butcher and sexualize every little thing that Elohim would allow. And then we go and destroy and add on to what they clearly say is this will not work. Elohim doesn't have an issue with Maxine and Dejah's and Amber's platonic affections, with their ahava, because he's in it. The 3 of them are in it. Ruah, Yeshua, Yahweh, they're all in that. But I had to cut these scenes because I don't think you all can handle it. And it's not an insult. I'm looking out for my readers, and I don't want people to stumble. Scripture says, do not cause the little ones to stumble, and don't be a stumbling block unto them. Y'all, how am I supposed to know what's a stumbling block? What might be good for me, what could be good for you, might not be good for 5 other people, or 50 other people, 20,000 other people, 800 people. How could I, as a pastor with good conscience, keep those scenes fully knowing in the back of my mind that it could possibly tempt or trigger somebody? Now, technically, all of Snapshot is probably going to be a trigger. Let's just be real. It's going to make the Christians mad in a way. It's going to make the LGBT mad in a way. But the right people who see what it is that I'm doing, what Yahweh is doing, will not be triggered, will not be offended. Or if they are, then they might back up and go, okay, Artzenin just said that. Artzenin just wrote this scene. I need to process my emotions. I need to process how I feel about these characters and what I just read. Or if you look at the images, what you just saw. Totally understandable. But there are just some things that had to be written. And I am more than prepared to defend my work and my characters in that way. I really am. I'm not scared of anybody. Not from the church, not from the world. I know where my inspiration, I know where my intent is coming from. And that's what Yahweh looks at. But with this, I still had to really be careful how I moved the platonic affection on set. I had to be exceedingly sensitive and take everyone's feelings into consideration here. The scenes that I cut were in a few places. In the prequel, Something More, there were roughly 4 scenes that were removed. When Dejah is admitting to Amber that she wanted to genuinely express the soulmate affection like she did with Maxine, because when you read Something More, it's not dropped yet, but it's going to be in 2025. It's done, but we decided we were going to wait until next year to drop it. She's already experienced platonic affection and the cuddling and the family holy kiss pecks on the lips or the cheek or the forehead or the embracing or the cuddling in the bed. She's already done all those things with Maxine. And again, I was very careful on how I worded that. So people didn't, well, I tried to minimize what people, I guess, would already think regardless. Amber is not really open to that at first. You will have to read her journal to find out why. So the project manager of Zion Studio, who also happens to be one of my platonic soulmates, shout out to Olivia Stacy, love you if you're watching this. She had a girl approach her and suggest that she thought that they had more going on than just mere friendship. At the time, Amber was not in the United States or in Purity Vale, Oregon. She was still in France. And I'm not going to say where, because that's really going to give away too much of the journal. And Olivia is really excited about the journal. That's her baby. She's writing that whole thing. I gave her the bones. I told her what I wanted. I told her what I was going for, how it had to reflect Rachel Amber, etc. But Amber Fierce still had to not very much be Rachel Amber and have a whole other series of unfortunate events happen to her. And this girl who approached her was one of those unfortunate events, because that girl, unlike Maxine, I don't know what Olivia's doing because she hasn't given me the updated version of this journal, but I suggested to her, I don't think that girl was saved. I partly did that because I wanted the crowd to see the difference between a saved person and approach to that topic versus an unsaved or unsure person who approaches this topic. Amber was already lost. Amber was carnal. Amber was fleshly. So she has this girl that comes at her and says, I think we're more than friends. But that girl didn't want it to be sexual. And when you read the journal, you'll find out what happens. Something happens to the girl. Amber's devastated. They move. Her whole family moves to the United States, to Purity Vale, Oregon. And she meets Dejah and Something More. And when Dejah approaches her, she too says, hey, I think there's something more going on between us. Triggered. Amber is triggered. She's ready to fight. She is ready to take down Dejah Chaman like nobody's business. But Dejah didn't know about what happened in France or about that girl or the tension and stresses and the trauma that Amber already was carrying. You see, trauma isn't what happens to you. Essentially, trauma is what happens inside of you. yeah, you can have a traumatic effect physically on the outside, but the real trauma is on the inside where people can't see it. So Dejah didn't see this pain, this sorrow, because it was on the inside of Amber. Well, it's going to be an ebook, but we will have episodic books for the people who support our Patreon. So chapter 4 or episode 4, there's a confession, and Dejah kind of wanted options. And because this was to counter Before the Storm, I noticed in Before the Storms, you could kiss Rachel, you could get a tattoo, etc. So I thought, all right, I kind of want to do that too, but mine would be different. The scene that got cut there was in fact her requesting the kiss. She wanted to kiss her on the cheek, and then on the forehead, and then the back of her hand. Just to mess with Amber, just to see if she would do it, because it was a request that Amber had to give Dejah. So when Amber goes the extra mile and kisses her in all 3 places, well, considering that she has a secret, the kiss on the back of the hand is symbolic and totally appropriate. Again, you have to read her journal to know who Amber really is and why the kiss on the back of the hand was boom. And Dejah was caught off by this. And then Amber dared her and goes, well, can you do it back? You don't have to kiss my hand, but can you at least kiss me on the face? And she does, because she didn't want to get shown up by Amber. Another scene that got cut was between Dejah and Maxine when they were in the treehouse. When you read Maxine's journal, and this I am fine exposing because it's not going to be a huge spoiler. Rhett saw their soulmate relationship, their platonic affection, because he too was a soulmate to Dejah's father. But they weren't as open like the girls were. So he physically goes out to Purity Falls, this tourist attraction, and builds them this beautiful deluxe treehouse just so they could show each other affection. And the scene that I took away was the night when they were in the treehouse. They had just studied, and Maxine was stressed out about something. She couldn't tell her what that something was. I'll just go ahead and say it here because it's not going to take away from the plot, you guys knowing what I'm about to say. Maxine's power was bothering her that night, and she's not going to reveal her struggle to Dejah. She doesn't want to. She just never thought she could bring herself to do it. Well, Dejah thought it would be kind of creative of her to snap Maxine out of that. So she jumped on top of her. She pounced her, and then she held her face. She goes, you know what? I'm so sick of this. I'm over you being moody. Snap out of it. And she family pecks her like that, real quick, like on the lips. And Maxine jumps and her eyes widen, but then she slowly smiles and relaxes, and she cupped her face and she reached up and she rubbed her nose against hers, and then she kissed her cheek, and then she laughed softly. That scene got cut. And then another scene that was cut when they're older and they reunite after Dejah recovers from what's going on with her. I can't say what that is or it would be a spoiler. After they work through all that, then they have to revisit the past and they're falling out. It's emotional, it's dramatic, and in the end, Maxine just screams, Dejah, I love you. I don't know what else to say, so you know what? I'll just show you. And she kisses her on the forehead and she embraced her, and I cut that. So as you can see, there's some scenes that just didn't make it into the final cut for these reasons. I'm not ashamed. It's not wrong. It's just, I don't think it will be helpful. But then again, maybe if this takes off and goes in the right direction and we have enough people who come give us those scenes, I will, as the author, come out with Snapshot, the extended edition, and I will put back all those scenes. Have a great day. I hope this gives you something to look forward to. Much love. Bye.